What's happening, guys? So on Sunday I had the Southeastern Regionals. It was my last meet that I did and things went pretty well overall, but I wanted to kind of take an opportunity to talk about how everything went, kind of go over some of my thoughts on not only the meet but how to proceed moving forward, especially in the nationals and beyond, and kind of go from there. Now before I do that, I do want to say real quick, so as you may or may not know, Layne was at this meet too, and he absolutely crushed it, and it was so freaking fun for me to have that front row seat and be there with him and just see him in his element again and just see his passion seep through his pores that whole day. It was amazing. He was in the zone, and it was just really fun to be there with him, to help him with the temp selection when he needed it. It was a really good experience, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm just so proud of the guy. He works so hard. You guys have no idea, and he gets a lot of crap, and some of it he kind of brings upon himself, but he knows that. And at the end of the day, been nothing but a very good friend to me and someone I highly respect, and it was just really, really fun to see him absolutely crush it and be back on the platform doing his thing after all this time. Now, as for me, everything went pretty well. I ended up going 8 for 9. I missed my last deadlift, which I will get to that in a little bit, but I want to start off with squats. And really overall, I just did not know what to expect coming into this meet because of all my injuries, especially with squats. That was kind of the most up in the air lift because I had dealt with, for almost 2 months, I was dealing with that adductor injury. My groin was having a lot of problems, so we had to back way off on squats and just kind of take it easy. And then 2 weeks out, a little more than 2 weeks out, I hurt my back, and I just wasn't able to get in really any good heavy training. So I didn't really know what to expect. So we had me starting off with about 420 pounds. I'm going to round a little bit with the numbers, but I will flash the exact kilograms and pounds across the screen for every single lift that I will play as I kind of talk about the lifts themselves. So anyway, I opened up with around 420 pounds, and it moved pretty well. I liked the way it felt. Warming up, it felt the best it had felt in a long time, and it was literally the first time in those 2 months that I did not feel my adductor at all. There was absolutely no tightness, no anything. So knock on wood, that injury at least should be behind me. So it moved well, went on to 440 pounds, and again, like the way it moved. I thought for a split second about going above, so my next attempt was about 463, and I thought going about 2.5 kilograms above that, but it had just been so long, and I just wasn't really sure. And Layne said the same thing. He's like, you probably have another 2.5 kilograms, but just play it smart. And that's kind of been my approach going into this meet about squats, just to kind of be a little bit conservative and just hit my numbers and not do anything crazy. So went with 463, and on video it looked so much better than it felt. It felt like it was a pretty tough grinder, but it actually moved pretty well. And I think the biggest thing was I just have not felt that heavy weight. Like I already mentioned, I haven't felt anything heavy with squats in a long time. So I just didn't know what to expect, and it just was so foreign to me to have that really heavy weight on my back. But I probably had 2.5, maybe even 5 kilograms in the tank, so that's encouraging moving forward. Now on to bench. I don't know what it is about bench, but I just expect coming into every single meet now that bench isn't going to feel as good as I'm used to, and that was not a good sign for me because bench just hasn't been feeling good at all for the last couple months. It's just really regressed for probably multiple reasons, which I'll get into. But again, while warming up, it just did not feel good. Now, I don't know if it's the change in equipment, maybe the bench height's a little bit different. I don't know what it is, but just whenever I get to competition day, it just never feels good. So we had planned on me doing it was around 295, 305, 315-ish, all right? It's 314 point something, which is my meet PR. I've done it 3 times. And opener actually went okay. It just didn't quite feel normal, but it moved fine. So then I went on to 305, and I didn't like the way that felt at all. If you look at the footage, I know it looks fine, and everyone always says that, but I just know my body when it comes to meet day and what I can do. And there's a fine line between a smoke show and a miss for me on bench press. I don't have the best lockout ever. And the way that 305 moved, I felt like going to 314 was a little bit too risky. I wasn't 100% positive that it was there. It might have been there, but I just knew that 310 or 309 or whatever was the safe bet. I knew I could hit that. I could take it and go. So that's what I went with. I chipped it down 2.5 kilograms, hit it. There was definitely a slowdown there. It stopped, got going again. So 314 might not have gone. It might have, but it would have been risky, and I thought that was absolutely the right decision on my part. So I was happy with that. The only problem that I had with it was we had everything mapped out for me to hit my first 1,300 pound total in the 83 kilogram division. Now by chipping that down 2.5 kilograms to hit that 1,300 pound total, I was gonna have to try to make that up on deadlift if I wanted to. So going into deadlifts, once again, I don't know what is going on, and I've been talking with Jake a lot about this because we got to try to figure this out. I have problems with calf cramps. I don't know what it is. This meet and the previous 2 meets each, when I got to deadlifts, I've had issues with calf cramping, and it continued again this time. Last meet I thought it was, well, I just wasn't that hydrated the meet before, so I just needed to stay super hydrated. Well, that's what I did the last meet, and I still had the issues. So then I thought, well, I didn't do a very good job with keeping my sodium levels up, so I need to add more sodium. So I literally, throughout this day, drank a gallon of Gatorade and an extra, I was adding sodium straight to the Gatorade, literally. So I had like an extra 3 grams of sodium added to those Gatorades. Still had the problem. So I don't know if it's potassium, you know, the way I'm eating, which is not, I'm not very good at eating in the morning, so I have a really hard time. So I didn't eat a lot during the actual meet itself. You know, so I might take some potassium pills next time, you know, bring a banana or 2 with me, see if that helps. I don't know if it's just maybe some nerves and tensing up. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely frustrating. It's definitely something that I need to figure out because it's been a consistent issue. But anyway, it ended up not being an issue, but it did take my focus away from my normal cues. So the thing that I was noticing was like I was kind of curling my toes up a little bit while I was deadlifting, and that was kind of causing that. So I had to like think about literally like bringing my toes up in the air and to keep myself from doing that. And that did help me not cramp, but it also made the movement feel not quite normal because I was getting away from what I normally do with the movement itself. But decided to chip up my opener. It was supposed to be 468. I went up to 473 just to try to see if things would feel okay to try to make up that 2.5 kilograms to get my 1,300 pound total. So the opener moved fine. I didn't think it felt great, but it didn't feel bad either. So we chipped up the next attempt too, and I went up to 501, and that, I did not like the way that felt. It just felt way heavier than it should have. You know, again, on footage, it doesn't look too bad, but it didn't feel good. And I think I rushed the movement. Looking back at the footage, it came off the floor pretty fast, faster than I really even wanted to, which I know sounds a little bizarre, but I've talked about how, you know, you really don't want to be that fast off the floor because it'll help, it will often get you out of position. But anyway, based on that, my plan last attempt was 523. I was going to have to hit 529 to get 1,300 pounds. I wasn't very confident that I was even going to have 523 at that point. And I thought about it for a second and decided, you know, I could chip down and make sure I got it. So that would be like 518 or maybe 513 or something, which still technically would have been a meet PR. So it wouldn't have been a bad thing, but I just was like, I wouldn't have been excited about it, you know, like chipping down and hitting it and just being done at 9 for 9, like, yeah, it would have been cool, but it wouldn't have really done anything for me. But I thought if I could chip up, hit 529 and somehow grind through it and get it, like that would have been a huge moment for me, right? Like I would have just been so excited and pumped about it. It would have just been massive for me. Whereas if I chipped it down and hit it, I really wouldn't have cared. So I'm like, why not go for the big moment? This meet means pretty much nothing. It's kind of like a token meet. You know, nothing's really on the line. I wasn't battling for positioning or anything like that. So hell, let's go for it. So I went for it. It started moving off the floor, but I could feel my back flaring up. And it just was not going to be a good thing if I continued to try to grind it. So I let it go, which was a smart thing because my back was actually pretty sore this morning. But it just wasn't there that day. And I knew it probably wasn't. I don't even think I would have been able to grind it out anyway, even without the back. It just felt really, really heavy. But wanted to go for it. And I think if it hadn't been for all the time that I've missed with all my various injuries, it wouldn't have been a problem. Like 3 weeks ago, I would have hit that no problem, I guarantee you. But then when I had the back thing happen, I had to take so much time off and I had to back off so much. Like I literally did like 2 reps of deadlifts in the last 2 weeks leading up to the meet. Barely did any squatting, barely did anything. So everything was really up in the air and I didn't know what to expect. So I'm not surprised that the strength wasn't there while it would have been earlier, but it's all right. Like, it would have been really nice. It would have been awesome to hit it, but I'm not disappointed. I'm not upset by any means. I still think I had a pretty good meet, all things considered, with everything that's gone down with me and how much I've dealt with. To hit 463 on squat and 310 on bench and still even break 500 on deadlift, like, that's great. Like, I'm pleased with that. So now this is the next day. Today is Monday while I'm recording this, and like I said, my back is pretty sore today. It was, when it first happened, I wasn't concerned about it. It didn't really hurt that much, but after that first night's rest, it's pretty tender again. But I think within a couple days it'll clear up. So I'm just going to take it easy this week and just kind of move some weight light. And I've got about 9 weeks to nationals, so then hopefully next week we can get into things, get some good training under my belt, and kind of really give it a go, and hopefully turn loose on nationals and do some work that I'm a little bit more capable of. But overall, this meet was, I would consider, a success for the most part. Pleased with it. I did what I could with what I had, and we'll just see what happens for the next 9 weeks, and I'll give it everything I got at nationals, and then we'll go from there. So that's really all I have for this one. Thank you guys for watching, as always, and I will talk to you later.
I'm addicted to the love that you're giving. Every minute, every day I've been craving.